friends. This is Stash, Polish American vlogger. I was deleted off of YouTube a long time ago. Back on BitChute, bringing up something controversial. Colonel Matt Urban is the most decorated soldier of the U.S. military. But many people say it's the war hero and movie star Audie Murphy. There is actually, a lot of arguments that say Matt Urban is the greater medal winner. And when President Jimmy Carter gave him a Medal of Honor, I think he's gone over it. So some state that hit 29 decorations. The Guinness Book of World Records used to have Matt Urban as number one. Now I think online anyway, they've got Audie Murphy. So if you're a fan of Audie Murphy and you're pissed off, I understand. Even if Audie Murphy is the number one, which I personally don't think he is, and he wasn't an officer like Urban, it's kind of a disgrace that nobody really knows Matt Urban. Over the years, I've made some videos online complaining about this, and people from his family have contacted me, people from Buffalo saying they couldn't really even get a bridge over there. Of course, I've got this poster as a thumbnail trying to ask the post office for a commemorative stamp. And, realistically, apparently it's hard to get a stamp, but I'm not happy about it. I mean, they've got stamps of cartoons and flowers. And right now, a lot of Americans are keen and, kind of encouraging Poland to jump in on the big war against Ukraine. Oh, yeah. Oh, Poland. Yeah, good. Poland. And the Poles, understandably, are excited about a connection to the United States. Capitalism and whatnot is new. And so, they've embraced Poland. Poland has the U.S. culture. So we know from like pinup models, are popular. Polish women are legendarily good looking and pretty strong people. So there's a lot of fighters and UFC fighters jumping in. And yeah, it's good. But anybody who's in Poland and Polish Americans themselves, you've got to realize that as a group, the Polish Americans have been pretty well unknown. And, for a long time, um, the butt end of jokes, people just hear the name Polish and they laugh, for whatever reason. I did a blog, which was, of course, deleted, about a book called Hollywood's War in Poland, that discussed that, people in the U.S. were keen to have Poland shut up about the Kachin Forest, because at that time the Russians were the Soviet Union, and they were doing most of the fighting in World War II. A fact that Americans don't know, don't care to know. But yeah, the Russians, and underneath them, the Slavic people as Polish, kind of as a slave army, was doing the worst of the fighting in World War II. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's uncomfortable. And Hollywood was, through the war, very, very communist. And that's a lot of power and PR power, very uncomfortable for the Poles. So the Kachin Forest massacre done by the Soviets, people like Beria and the Bolsheviks types, is still unknown in the U.S. And yet, lately, since the war in Ukraine, people are championing Poland. Oh, yeah, champions. As if they're encouraging to jump in the fight. And you can't talk to Polish people about it. They hate the Russians. And it's a big debate. Oh, well, if they don't stop them, they'll go there or whatever. That's a talk for another time. So I've only got extreme different views than the media and the general public, and that goes for this idea of not recognizing the great war hero Matt Urban. So a lot of people say, no, there's nothing to it, this and that. I do. I'm very, very conspiratorial about the fact that the man isn't recognized. Francis Stanley Gabretsky gets some recognition among fighter pilot enthusiasts, and he was the highest scoring ace in the European war theater. So I'm going to go back to making a bunch of videos of this and just bitching, about it. And understandably, if Polish and Polish American people don't like it, they don't like it. But it's not great. It's a sign of immense disrespect in my regard. And that's the way I'm taking it. Nobody knows who Matt Urban is. A lot of people know Audie Murphy. Even Audie Murphy, they're forgetting. I'll tell you one thing I like about Audie Murphy that is again very conspiratorial. He was looking into who killed John F. Kennedy, and that's a real thing. He had a L.A. police detective who was his friend, so he was looking at that, and his plane went down. It could have just went down in coincidence, but I don't know. Maybe not. So I'm a huge fan of Audie Murphy, but of course, people take sides. I'm Polish, so I want Urban to be the more recognized. I think his record is even more distinguished. He was of a much higher rank. He didn't have movie star looks, but there should be a movie of him too. About 3 or 4 years ago, they finally made a movie about the 303 Kosciuszko Squadron, which had the highest record in the Allies in World War II. But nobody really knows about that. Poland had the largest exile army in World War II. Nobody knows about that. And they were not allowed to march on Victory Day. So the Kachin Forest is not popular to talk about because intellectuals in America were very communist during the war, and your average Joe was keen to let the Russians do the fighting. This is realpolitik. Not popular. I mean, you're not going to get popular making speeches about this. I'm probably not doing Matt Urban's cause any good. And I don't think he'd probably be happy maybe with me using his name to complain about some of these issues. Maybe he would strongly disagree with my stance against Poland getting involved in the war in Ukraine. I don't know. I hope he might stand by the fact that it's a little weird that he's not more known. So even if I say, if you sift through the records and go, oh, Audie Murphy's got the more decorations or whatever, okay. Why wouldn't people discuss the number 2 guy? Of which I don't think he is. Audie Murphy was a handsome fella and a great PR tool. He didn't have the responsibility to be an officer, lieutenant colonel, and so forth. And their accomplishments are very, very different. Who was tougher? Hey, Matt Urban was a boxer. He boxed an enlisted man in a brutal boxing match and earned his friendship, and the guys snuck into the war. They jumped in the war. So the ghost get injured and come back to the front lines. So, and keep in mind that people are even starting to forget who Audie is too. So if you get a little mad if you're Irish or whatever, sure, but talk it up. I mean, take into consideration that it's not fair that this man is not getting equal representation or any representation. Certainly, he's probably not going to get a postage stamp, but that's what my thumbnail in this video is. So like, comment, subscribe. If you're angry, please give me a lucid comment instead of just some nonsense. This is not World War II revisionist history. Matt Urban was legendary. Many people say he's actually the higher decorated. This is part 1 of me talking up Polish stuff. Peace with everybody. I promise there'll be more information and more controversy, I hope, soon. Take care.